Unam, it's a real pleasure meeting you. I've been wanting to do this for so many years. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, Mike. You're so welcome. I'm glad we finally met quite in person.
I mean, one of my favourite albums of all time would have to be Weekend in LA, tribute to George Benson. Both versions, and it's wonderful music, and the guitar is pretty good too.
Thank you, Mike. Yeah, it was a quite crazy project that you put together. Yeah, back in 2012. Yeah, so I'm glad you like it. It was a lot of fun. It was kind of crazy though, but yeah, we had
Now,
fun. Man.
now this year you released Unam Goes Big Band on the
Hmm.
Skytown Records label. It's a collaboration with the Lutz Krajinski Big Band based on
Hmm.
Estonian pop songs from 1945 to 1980. You were contacted by Mick Targo, a
Uh-huh.
Estonian producer, and he had a real
Hmm.
passion for the album, chopped down 100 to the what we have now. Before Mick Targo had got hold of you, tell me
Hmm.
about your knowledge on Estonian pop songs.
Well, that's very simple. I didn't have any knowledge about any Estonian songs at all. So just to make it clear, I have no idea what they were doing over there.
It's,
You
but
know.
I have to say though, I mean, because you have the big band and the jazz and funk and soul element there.
Hmm. Hmm.
You think, oh, I've heard that song from somewhere before. It's the whole mix down is fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, that's what happened. I mean, this thing totally happened, like out of the blue. I mean, I was touring somewhere in the US. It was like almost 2 years ago, and had some emails going to the company, and one guy saying, "Oh, I'm like the founder of the Estonian Authors Society, and we did a special project for the 25th anniversary, and we did like pick like the top 100 best pop Estonian songs, and we had like a poll with the people in Estonia to pick the best top 25, 30, whatever, and we decided to like redo them in the big band jazz way, and but all vocals, right? But with the Estonians lyrics,
Hmm.
and then we redid it with like some English lyrics. And the guy, I don't know, he just said, "I want you to do it." I'm like, what is this guy is talking about? Sending me a long email, and I'm like, but to make the show short, because it's quite a crazy story.
Mm.
What happened is that it turns out that there's a big radio station in Latvia, which is right by Estonia. Okay, like it's very close, right? A few kilometers, separate, whatever. And they are playing my music all the time in that station over there. And Mick is a big fan of the George Duke and George Benson and in jazz and funk. He's a drummer originally, so it was a big fan of me already. And for some kind of reason, there's a lot of weird stuff that happened. He heard me again on the radio, and then he had one friend of his giving him my latest album and stuff like that. And for him, it was a lot of sign. And he said, "Oh, I want you to do that because he's a storyteller, and there's nobody else better than him to do that." And I was like, "Oh, okay," but and honestly, I listened to the song, and I'm like, because I always loved big band. I
Mm.
started even when I was 16 playing like just rhythm in like a big band at my music school and jazz music school in France. But I'm like, okay, that's not really what I do. But then I started to listen to the song, and man, I'm like, this is beautiful tunes. That's like beautiful tunes. And I tried a couple, I tried a few things, whatever. And I said, okay, well, I'll do it. And then especially when I heard that one song, and maybe we'll talk more about it. But it's starting to be a big hit in the U.S. right now. It's called "Each Day Is a Gift."
Mm.
When I heard that song the first time I heard it, I said, "Oh, I'm down. I'm doing that project. I love that song so much."
Mm.
And yeah, there's somebody that wrote it like 60 years ago, whatever, in Estonia. And I have more to tell you about that song, by the way.
So,
Yeah.
how long did this whole project take?
Well, this one was quite fast because, like I mentioned before, they already recorded, the songs. I mean, it was vocal tunes. So basically, I just asked them to have like what we call like the separate tracks,
Hmm.
tracks, and so I just this one was quite easy. I just had to like play my lead on it, and then I added a few like wah-wah guitar on one tune, and we added some percussion as well.
Mm.
My guy that plays on all my albums, Denis Benaroche, and then I just I redid the mix because I wanted to have a mix that was more like have like a more like still big band and jazz, but a bit more modern, and a
Mm.
bit more like standard, like like we have in the US, for example, and stuff like that. But honestly, it took me long. I don't know, maybe like 3-4 months, something like that.
What about the reaction? I mean, are you now the Estonian national hero?
Yeah,
And
that's it's quite
obviously it's done well in Estonia.
well. You know what? It's not totally wrong. I mean, maybe not the number one like national hero, but they did like a huge long segment on like a national television over there. Like a 10-minute segment because they
Mm.
were playing all the old songs. With like because the thing is that those songs were songs written and sang by like the biggest stars in Estonia, right?
Hmm.
So so for them, like that's a huge deal. And then they have like some of those songs the first time in some US charts or in the charts or US radios or whatever. So they're like crazy, they're like really proud and Meek, the producer is very excited and unfortunately, but hopefully maybe it's gonna happen like next year. But we're supposed to start to put some shows together, like
Mm.
especially in Estonia. But then the COVID happened, so
But wouldn't
I
that be
kind of changed the plan.
well, what an
Mhm.
amazing sight to have the big band, have you playing with your ensemble.
Yeah.
I mean, just visually, it would be stunning. And entertainment-wise, I mean, you could go any direction you wanted to and really take the audience away with you if you wanted to.
Yeah, that was exactly the plan. I mean, because we got a great musician in Estonia, Germany is right there. It's quite easy to get the big band, and that was exactly my idea. I was like thinking, okay, kind of like when George Benson did the Nat King Cole
Mm.
tribute album,
Hmm.
which was all like Cole, like jazz tunes and with like the string orchestra or whatever. But believe me, he finished the show with "Give Me the Night," no matter what. So he's got the whole show like that. But then it's like, okay, you need to like bring the audience like somewhere else and make them dance and having
Mm.
a good time. Show different side of you as well or whatever. And I was thinking, oh yeah, I want to do that. It's like, okay, we play some songs from the big band, and then let me like try to introduce like a more like funky tune and groovy tune,
Mm.
to have fun, But so we see. I mean, might happen. Who knows?
A track you really like is "Each Day's a Gift." Tell me about that.
First time I heard it, just the intro, like that muted trumpet riff that I heard, I was just so in love with it. And then the groove, and it was simple but classy. And I just love the melody. I just love it. I just really love it. I said, I want to, and like I said earlier, that's really what decided me. I just want to do that album
Mm.
just for that tune, And I had so much fun because even on the two different versions, because one version is with a sing with by Steve Bronstein. That was the first winner of the UK X Factor.
That's
So
right. Mm.
yeah, right. So uh, and I did an instrumental version as well. But I was thinking, okay, here's the thing. I'm gonna play differently, quite not on everything, but quite on the two versions because one I'm playing the melody, so I'm just gonna play the melody. It's nice or whatever, and doing my thing. But then on the vocal one, as I'm not playing the melody, I'm gonna find some like different guitar arrangement around it. So I make it quite different as well, because I just love that tune. I don't know. I just love it. And right now it's been the second single of the album, and it's really doing great. I mean, they are like playing it like in a heavy rotation on Sirius XM
Mm.
in the US and whatever. So I don't know. There's something special about that tune. But here's the funny thing I wanted to say earlier. When I when we mentioned about all those songs, right? There was like some of the top 100 best ever Estonian songs, right? But when I asked Mick Tago, because Sirius XM was asking me about the story behind it, right?
Mm.
And so I asked Mick, the producer, right? I said, okay, so what is it about that song? And you know what's funny? He said, well, actually, this song, it's like he just found it by chance. This one was not a hit at all in Estonia. It was just an obscure song, you
It's
know?
interesting also the songs from 1945 to
Hmm.
1980. And
Hmm.
you wonder how the mood of the song would change. But after the war, 1945, you could imagine these songs being written from a great depth of the heart.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. I mean, yeah, I don't know any specific names or whatever, but I know that Vic told me that need to remember that at that time Estonia was still part of the USSR, so it was like right in the middle, like the Iron Curtain, the Cold
Mm.
War, and stuff like that, and obviously. Uh, uh, Maybe people doesn't know it, but Estonia have their own language. They don't speak Russian. They had to learn Russian. Okay, they
Mm.
have never been really part of Russia, so always been like conflicts, or whatever, and some stuff. And some of those guys, uh, they were prisoners at some point, like going in the gulag and
Mm.
stuff like that. So,
Mm.
so yeah, it's really kind of tough, weird time, when they wrote those songs and did all that kind of music. So that's why you can't tell in the way that is um, really filled with deepness, soul, and emotions. On those songs and writing.
In 2019, you also released your album Future Love, which has done really well on
Hmm.
the charts, also with
Hmm.
Amazon, iTunes in the US and other parts of
Hmm.
the world. Can you tell
Hmm.
us about that album?
Well, this album came at a very, very, very tough time in my life. So I was just uh, right in the middle of it. I went into a divorce after 10 years and at 2 years old and whatever. So, and it was really, really tough,
Mm.
really tough. And and I was in the middle of working on my album, and then when that thing happened, I kind of readjust the idea of the concept, and instead of doing something kind of like very sad and kind of negative energy, like a lot
Mm.
of artists when they go through a breakup or divorce or whatever stuff like that, they just write a bunch of sad songs and stuff and whatever. And I'm like, you know what? I ain't gonna do that.
Mm.
You know what? I ain't gonna do that. I'm gonna try to be positive. So that's why it's it's turned out like the title of the album like came out like, okay, future love, like something more like positive.
Mm.
So that's what happened with that album. And yeah, I did, when it came out, it did beautifully in the Billboard
Mm.
sales in the US. I mean, so yeah, that's what happened with that
So,
album.
what about the Love Vault? And is there a third part coming along?
Yeah, so earlier I was mentioning that there's songs that sometimes and many times that I've done or recorded, they don't end up on the album or the album I'm working on or on some albums because I feel like, oh, doesn't fit on the album or it's just not the way I see it or whatever stuff like that. And exactly what happened on the Future Love album and the one before as well. So I got a bunch of songs of it, right there, and I had a few new songs as well. And I'm like, it's a shame because there's one song in particular that I get in mind. I got like the drummer playing on it. like keep telling me, man, it's such a beautiful song. It's like, oh, it's a shame it's not on the album and this and that and that other tune as well. And I'm just like, okay, well, what about if I release like like a Volt thing, like the concept's not it's not gonna be a concept. The concept is gonna be like that's the song in the Volt, quote, So it's like at least I don't have to worry about if it fits in the concept album because the concept is the Volt. So it doesn't matter, right? So that was the idea. So I said, okay, let me do that. And then I said, okay, you know what? I want to do it like as a part two for some kind of reason. I had that idea, so I released it as like a Future Love Part Two. And actually, the one of the single, the first single did super great in the US. I was very, it's called Sexy Fresh. I was very surprised. It's a song I had like for like 12, 13 years, something like that. I never finished it, and so sometimes it's kind of weird. So yes, so when I did decided to do part two, I already thought, okay, well then I'm gonna do a trilogy. Why not? So I'm gonna do Future Love Part Three and kind of close the chapter. So I'm working on it right now. It's taking time because I'm very busy, and then I just want to make it right, and so it's in the work. It's in a work in progress right now. So,
How have you changed and your music changed though? From you've been in the States for 12 years or thereabouts.
mhm.
You've had your influences. I believe George Benson, Nile Rodgers, and you can really hear that come out in your music. But how's it changed from 12 years ago, say to now, or how have you changed? And you've gone through some trauma in your life and all sorts of things.
Uh, I don't know. I don't think I really changed. I mean, I just got older. That's it.
Well,
So I
that's
guess I get.
changing.
So I guess I mellowed down a little bit. But thing is at some point I was like in the middle of those 12 years, I wasn't sure anymore. Like, okay, do I have to change more
Mm,
and be more in the norm? Because what I'm doing is I mean it's quite very different than a lot of artists. I mean I'm just trying to be me, but it's what turns out to be, and I'm like, and it's been tough sometimes, because it takes years sometimes to accept something that is very different, and I was starting to get it, so I was like, and now I ain't gonna change, I'm doing super great in Japan. They love me over there, and I get like a core friends as well that when I put out an album, we just like give support by the album and stuff like that. So I got my own little thing, and I'm like, no, I don't think I'm gonna change at all. I mean, it's just what is hard now is
mm,
trying to find more inspiration and stuff um, to make the music interesting. I don't like to release like the same song over and over and over again.
mm,
Like I hear many times, unfortunately. Um, I don't like to do that, and that is very hard.
mm,
This is very hard. So no, I don't think I changed much. I kind of like try to help new talents and trying to give some advice and try to work on different projects. Like right now, I mean, the Big Band thing was like amazing for me. I mean, I came out of the blue, and that's something I always wanted to do. And thing is that people don't like they don't understand. We're like, oh, what? UNM goes Big Band? What the? It's like this guy is always like doing some funky stuff, and now he's going Big Band. It's like, well, it's like, yeah, I can play jazz. I play jazz, I play fusion, I play funk, but my heart is like in soul and
mm.
funk and R&B. But I can play all that too, and I love it as well, and we can like, wow, what is that guy doing? And
Mm.
that's what I want the people like to, really keep from me in a way that I can do a lot of things. Don't ever expect me anywhere. You never know what I might be doing tomorrow.
Absolutely stunning. Love the album. UNAM Goes Big
Thank you.
Band. It's on Skytown Records, collaboration with the Lutz Krajinski Big Band.
Yep.
UNAM, thank you very much.
Oh, you're so welcome. Thank you so much, Mike.